Keep California cowgirls from vanishing. Welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show. Training our horses and miniature cows in ranch versatility. Penning Rusty and Susie, our bull and heifer. Roping Rusty with Morgan horse, Semi. Training Eve to work over her haunches with a motor cow simulator. Training Eve on a cow roping simulator. Sadie practices over the haunches with an ATV mechanical cow simulator.
Pulling slack. And Susie's coming my way because she feels the pressure behind her horns.
To prepare my Morgan mare Semi for farming work, we fit a prior harness on her and begin to desensitize her to pulling tools. Now, Semi has been hitched in the past. There are many shows up on my website that shows Semi pulling and driving car. And I am going to use her for farming, but I intend to use her possibly as a single farming horse rather than as a pair. And here's my reason. My reasoning may be flawed, so you'll know if I change my mind. My reason is that Semi's an alpha horse personality. She's in charge of Sadie and Eve, and they do whatever she says. So in some respects, her being in a pair with one or the other might be helpful, but in other respects, it might be a safety hazard because whatever Semi says, whatever body language cue she gives, even Sadie, gets them very responsive and very worried. They want to do what she says. And if they're driving in pairs and they think that she's telling them something, I'm afraid that they're going to get stressed. So I thought even Sadie, being mother and daughter, would be a better pair. But nevertheless, Semi has to do her work here at Minmore Farms too. This is my original harness. It's a very nice harness. You see, we're fitting her for the first time in a long time with the saddle, with the crupper, with the britchin, with the collar. Can you get the hames? And I just want to show you, this is quite an expensive rig back then. I decided to get a collar with a separate set of hames, and look how fancy these are, these stainless steel hames. Attached to them are the tug straps. But that means now that we have to put these hames around the collar, which is yet another tacking job. We have to make sure that Semi does not get concerned about it. I've got her bridle, which is a nice bridle with blinders, ready to go. We may or may not put them on today. We're going to see how she behaves with all of this tack, and then we may put the bridle on for just a moment to make sure it fits, and then we'll show you how we work with Semi up and down this driveway, how we get her ready to pull farm implements, and whoever gets ready first is going to help us work with our first test plot of growing hay. We have cordoned off a special plot on my property that has some compost on it, and we're going to try to use the horses or horse to spread the compost with a harrow. It goes the other way. Now Katie has never used this and she had it upside down. Okay, can Semi handle it? Looks like she's okay. Watch her body language. Notice that this collar has a buckle, so you don't have to put it over their head if you don't want to. The hames fits here in this seam, and then you buckle it. You see the buckle? Yeah.
There's no buckle.
Oh, there's no buckle. There's no buckle over there? Okay, it's been sitting around. Let me see. Let me see how it looks over here in front of the camera. Okay, the buckle has fallen off. I'm sure it's somewhere. It goes from this loop to this one. And we're going to be able to find it. And by the next time we have a session, we're going to be able to buckle that Hames over the collar and store the tug straps for a while safely with the rest of the harness over her back so that the tug straps don't fall down. And why don't you go hang that up? And the next thing we're going to try, just to get the fit, you can see that tacking up is an extremely complicated process, especially when you're tacking for harness work, but so important. We've got to get every single piece to fit right, to buckle right. This is the bridle. Let's just put it on her head and make sure it still fits her. I've kept all of this tack for the last few years safely in a dry shed. It's maintained itself. It's not full of fungus. It's nice and pliable. I'm going to loosen this lead line in case Semi does get concerned. I can't remember who it was last on, this bridle, so it may need adjustment. Maybe too tight around Semi's ears. My cameraman's coming closer to show you. There we go. All right. Yes, it must have been on Semi last because look, Semi tends to bite at her bits, at her shank bits. This isn't a shank, it's a snaffle, but it's got this little piece here on either side. And I must have put these donuts on back then because I was worried about her reaching over to try to bite at these little flags, so to speak. Otherwise, this is a very nice head stall. The blinders are far away from her eyes. I'm not worried about them irritating her. And it's got a, over the neck, it's got the strap that will keep her from trying to reach down with her head. And yes, that's a neck strap. All right, well, we're just trying to show you here for a few minutes what process we're going through. It's all right. Watch the visual block to get this harness fitted back on Semi. And I'm actually, in spite of the wind, quite pleased that she's being rather stress-free. That's okay, you can take it off for now. We'll figure out where all the pieces are. They're hanging in there somewhere. We'll get this ready for our next session to fully harness Semi and see how she goes up and down the driveway with her lead line on at first, and then drive lines and lead line, and then drive lines alone. And then she has to be desensitized to the single trees again, and pulling something on the ground behind her, like the big ABS log that I use for training, and then maybe even take her to the arena where there's a thick sand ground cover, and see if she can pull the harrow. And if she's ready before Sadie and Eve are ready to flatten out my compost on my test site for hay growing, then she'll do it. Otherwise, we'll ask Eve to do it, or Sadie to do it, or Eve and Sadie using the training harness pole. And by then, I may have made my forecart. That's a project yet to be done in the next few months. And then we have to desensitize the horses to the forecart as well. And that's all for today. In our next session with Semi, we're showing you what we're doing to desensitize her to all this stuff and to fit all this harness on her. This is an older harness that I've had for a long time, and she's had it on. It has features similar to my newer harnesses, in some respects better features, in some respects not better features, but each has its advantages. Okay, now we've got the collar on, but not the Hames yet. We're gonna introduce Semi to the training
harness pole 2, just in case she turns out to be a good pairs horse. As I mentioned last time, she is an alpha mare with my other mares, but if she's really good at this harness stuff and is confident, she'll give confidence to the other 2. So I might pair her up. But watch her body language. We don't have a camera operator today, so I'm trying to show you everything. See, will she accept all these feelings again? She has in the past, but it was years ago. Will she be confident? In a moment, we're going to put the hames on. Last time we were going to put the hames on, but we were missing a strap, and I've since found the strap. Okay, so I'm going to leave the camera on here and go and hold Sam, and notice that we have the yacht rope lead line this time. It gives us a little bit more definition in what we're asking for in case I have to back her up and so forth. And Katie's going to go get the hames and put it around the collar. And we'll show you. I'll try to speak with enough amplitude that you can hear me, with enough sound that you can hear me from that distance, and yet show you the whole picture by keeping the camera at this position. All right, Sam. Now I'm going to talk to her. I'm going to ask her to back. Watch the wiggle. Back, back, back. Nice, nice, Sam. See, this yacht rope lead line is really good for that. It's all right. The hames are really weird looking, and they clank, so we're doing all this desensitization while we put them on. She's had them on before, and notice that the tug straps are connected to the hames rather than being a buckle connection. So we have no choice. If we're going to put the hames on, we've got to put the tug straps on. It's all right, Sam. It's all right. The hames are really beautiful, but a little bit more complicated than our other ones, which are kind of part and parcel of the collar. Now the strap that I found goes on the top of the hames and connects it to the collar at the seam. See how Katie has the tug straps on her shoulders? We don't want them dangling yet. And yet if Semi were to pull back, we don't want those tug straps getting caught on any of Katie's body parts. So lots to think about here. We're doing it as slowly as necessary to do it as safely as possible. There, it's now hooked on the top. Right, and that looks to be, I'm trying to remember what that is, probably underneath, yeah. Is there an obvious place to hook it underneath? Right, okay. That's kind of that strap that she's doing in the front. It hooks to something under the saddle. Okay, similar to a breast collar. Now, here are some, you've got quick releases on the end of those hames. Here's some extra clasps in case we need them. We're going to be really careful because if Semi gets spooks and get away from us, we don't want those tug straps falling down and scaring her even more. Because we don't have a third and even a fourth person today, we're being very cautious. We'll only show you what we feel is safe to do at this time. And we kind of have to be creative. You're sure that those won't fall? No. Not sure. We're not sure. We have to be really careful if she gets, I'm not too happy with that.
It's hard to do with it.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. Let's see. We need a dog collar or something, huh? Okay, hold her here. I'm going to stop the camera and we're going to find yet another strap to help us on each side hold up the tug straps. All right, here we go. We've got a camera operator now for a few minutes, and we have put the tug straps up kind of like you would a lariat with some nylon straps using some of the rings on the saddle. Now we're hoping it's not going to fall. We were really careful because if it falls down and she feels those straps and somehow gets her leg hung up in them, it could be very dangerous. So, what's our objective today? You know, education is a lot of state your objective and try to achieve it. Our objective is just to get her desensitized to all of this stuff, including the singletry, the look of it, the sound of it, and then maybe even stand her next to the training harness pole and see if she'll tolerate it. If she gets upset by accidentally stepping on it, you can see she's looking around. It's her nature. And she's got those blinders on, which she's had on before, but it kind of bothers her that she can't see, and yet she's hearing things. Plus, let me tell you that we're under a cloud and it's starting to drizzle. Oh, and there's a bobcat back here, so a lot to deal with, and we want to do this as safely as possible in small steps. So, just standing right there, I'm going to take this singletry and walk around her, just like I did with Sadie and Eve. Probably when I get to the side of her body where she can't see it, she might just turn her head to say, well, where is that thing going? It's all right. I'm talking to her. It's all right. There you go. See, she says, I want to see where you're going with that. It's all right, Sammy. It's all right. It's all right. Now I'm letting her, I'm talking to her so she knows I'm coming on this side. It's all right. Good girl. Good girl, Sam. You know, a lot of this training it's important to get them to trust you. They may not always know what you're asking or understand right away, or something unusual may appear. But if they have a trust in you and you're not afraid, then they're likely and should most definitely not be afraid either. So we're dealing with the nature of the horse here and trying to do it by establishing trust and respect. Now I'm going to go in the other direction. I'm just going to pick up this chain. If she's behaving well, I might rattle it. There you go. See, she's looking at it. Good girl. Everything's done in both directions when you're training livestock. It's all right. Good girl, Sam. As soon as I come around, she says, I want to see what you're doing there. I don't blame her. Now, this is the challenging part, and I'm really not sure how she will react to it. I'm going to put this singletry down. And I'm going to go around her on the turf and on the sand. Makes different sounds. It's all right. It's all right, Sam. See how she wants to look? It's all right, Sam. Good girl. Good girl. And now I'm going to be on the sand. It makes more noise. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. There you go. She's looking. She's standing back. She's not sure. And rightfully so. She doesn't know. She hasn't done this in a long, long time. Don't know if she remembers from years ago, but here we go the other direction. On the sand. And I have a cameraman now so that if something moves, something distracts her, we can zero in on her body language. Very nice. And now, as the next step, Katie is going to try to walk Semi into position for this training pole. It's just a harness training pole that is going to help us for when we drive in pairs with our forecart. But for now, it's just something we do without a vehicle. Now you see, a little bit concerned here. Now, watch this. I like to be able to show you every step of the way. We need to get her trussed. Okay. Good. Now we need to be able to move her back into position. And her position should be parallel to that black ABS pipe. So we need to get her hips over. And in so doing, she may step on the ABS or on one of the clasps. And I've got my little drive whip here. It's all right. Over. 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 I'm doing rhythmic pressure.
Over.
I'm going to go back in a different position. See how she's trying to get away from it. Over. 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 Not. Why don't you walk around again? You know, all my horses side pass. All my horses know what pressure means in various parts of the body, but just now she wasn't thinking. She was reacting. Whoa. You see how fast she tried to walk through that? She doesn't quite trust this training pole, which, by the way, she never used in the past because I never tried to drive or teach to drive in pairs.
I think it's the white PVC.
And it might very well be, Katie's saying it might very well be the white PVC because each horse has its own pet peeves, and Semi had a bad experience once with white vinyl jumps, and since then we've re-desensitized her to them and gotten her to be just fine about going over them, but nevertheless, this is white PVC, and she probably doesn't quite trust it. One of the natural horsemanship trainers on RFD said the other day, and I had to laugh because I've been there, they said, you got to get them to trust you when they see a piece of white toilet paper on the trail. It's just a white thing to them. They don't know what it is, and they get scared oftentimes. Okay, now, the question is, can you lift the front? And I'm going to go back here, and my cameraman's going to try to show both. It's all right. Now you see when it comes up off the ground, it's yet a different object. And here's where I wish we had yet one other person. It's all right. Let her investigate. Semi's real good about investigating things. If she's not sure, she wants to check it out. Not just ride right away, but check it out. There you go. She wants to investigate. That's good. Good. We're shaking the clasps so she sees it does make noise. Now, can you holding it? We're not going to connect it to her today. Not until we have yet a third person to help us here at this training site. Oh, she got scared. And she felt it on her front shoulder. There, now she's much better. And my cameraman's gonna walk by her, tell her that you're going by, talk to her, please.
Hello, Sadie.
Okay, this is Semi. All right, good. Now watch her react. Let's see if she's gonna be okay on it. And you know, we're not gonna try to do a G, which is right, or a ha, which is left. We're just gonna try to do a straight with this thing going with her. And if she's behaving, if she's not afraid, you see, I'm out of strike zone here. Katie will not stand in front of her because if Semi does get afraid, she's going to want to flee or kick. We're just going to walk forward a few steps and then maybe put it down, turn her around, go the other direction, and call that, if it all goes well, our moment of resolution. Okay, Katie, let's say 5 steps. Step up. Step up.
Okay.
See how she's walking away from it closer and closer to the camera. That's her nature. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Now let's put it down. You put your side down. and then turn her around. I'm gonna, in front of her so she can see it, turn this harness pole around, because let's face it, it's kind of a weird looking thing. It's all right, Sam. Give her confidence, talk to her, she knows my voice. It's all right, Sam. Far away to say anything. Got it? Let's talk until we get close. I gotta put this end down. Okay. Good girl. It's all right, Sam. Good. Okay, let's put it down. Notice how she stopped when Katie shook it. But she didn't run. She stopped and looked at it and tried to figure it out. Why is it making noise? Notice how she's stepping away from it. And that's what we've got to do before we ever connect her. We've got to safely get her to walk with it and not be afraid of it and not try to step away from it. And especially if you have two horses driving in pairs. And that's what I've never trained for before. I'm in the process of doing it now using RFD TV, using YouTube videos, using a Rural Heritage website that has testimonials, using the Small Farmers Journal, which has a lot of articles about how people like me, who are small farmers, are trying to train their animals, their livestock, to help them do the farming work. And then we'll see if it works, because we're going to always video each session and show you how it goes. And that's all for today.
In part 2 of Semi's training to the farming harness, we will aim to hook up the harness training pole and the single tree, perhaps then followed by pulling the ABS training log. Our cast of characters: Sadie and Eve, Semi, Rusty and Susie, heifer calf Sela. For more information, www.urbancowgirlchannel.com.